to learn how to make these earrings? Then keep watching the video. You'll be using two 3-inch 24 gauge brass discs. You'll be using a ball-peen hammer for texturizing. As you see, I have two here. You'll also be using a metal file, and I'll be using both ends of the file. As you see, you will be using some snips. These aren't the best, but they do. You'll be using some flat nose pliers. You'll also be using some round nose pliers. You will also need a stainless steel block for texturizing your disc. You can also use a rubber, rubber block for sound reduction, followed by a sandbag. And then you can also use books to further the sound reduction because the hammering will make a lot of noise. So you'll see all three of those things there. You will also be using some 20 gauge brass wire to make the ear clasp, and I use this thingamajig to make the ear loops, which you'll see later in the video. So that's how I set it up. You'll also be using some muscles, and then lastly you'll need a hole punch. So I'm going to grab my first disc, and when you get these, you'll see there's a edge to the disc because they've been stamped. So I usually take it and have the serrated edge side down, and then taking the flat part of my ball-peen hammer, I just go ahead and give that a light hammering just to help smooth that edge, so when I pick it up it's not as jagged, because it makes the filing later in the video you see a lot easier to do. So once you have that edge kind of dealt with, you can then just take the round part of the ball-peen hammer. This is where your muscles come in, and I've been trying to find the right way or the right spot to start hammering in so that the disc doesn't get wobbly. And I feel like if I start in the middle and then do a line down diagonally and then go around, it seems to help. So as you see there, I just did a couple quick taps with the hammer. Since it's 24 gauge, you don't need a lot, so then just take it away as you see here. Now go all the way around. As you can see, once you get halfway through, your disc will start to get a little wobbly. So this is where you want to stop. Turn your disc over. Use the flat side of your ball-peen hammer and just lightly tap and hammer out that bend within the disc, because if you don't, it's going to mess up your earrings once you're done. So once you've tapped that out and it's as flat as you think you can get it, you want to then go ahead and continue hammering around. Now I'm pretty much done, or I am done, my first disc. It took a little bit of time, but isn't that pretty, the texture? So now I'm just going to go ahead again and flatten out the disc to make sure that it's wearable, because who wants a messed up earring, right? So lightly hammer it, because the more you hammer the back side, the more you begin to take away the texture. So you don't want to give this too hard of a pounding, just enough to flatten it out and to make sure there aren't any dents or wobbles in it. If there are a few, it's okay because it's handmade, right? So now you can see the difference in texture. The one that was already texturized has a nice pebbled, beachy feel effect to it, and you see the regular plain Jane one. So we're going to do this regular plain Jane one to make it look nice like the other one. Now that our discs are done, we're going to move on to hole punching them. So you want to turn your disc over to the back side, take any old Sharpie that you have, and give yourself a dot so you'll know where to punch your hole. I usually give myself about a 2mm distance from the edge. I don't want to go that far down because then it'll be hard to insert your ear clasp, but you don't want to be too close to the edge because then you'll break your earrings and have done all that work for nothing. So then I just take my hole punch, line it up with the circle, and as you can see with the hole punch, there's a little, and I'm trying to show you guys, there's a little point in the hole punch that once you line it up with the circle, it'll put a little dent, so you can, it'll help, and the dent pretty much helps punch the hole. So once you get that hole punch lined up on your circle, you get that dent in, it's just a matter of pushing the hole punch through, and that's why I like this one, because it does all the work for you and your muscles. So there, just like that, and wiggle it off and you got all fluff. Take your disc and go over to your steel bench block and give the holes that you just punched a light tap. This will help push in the serrated edge of the hole that you just punched. Now you want to take your 20 gauge brass wire in your thingamajig and place a medium and then a small, whatever it's called, placeholder in your thingamajig, and you want to place them space apart. Then you want to take your brass wire, uncoil some, and then I'm going to wrap it around to show you how, but this isn't the way how I usually do it. You want to wrap your brass wire, place a piece of it at the bottom edge of your small placeholder, then wrap it around the top of the medium placeholder, and then go around the bottom placeholder. I'll show you a picture so you can see exactly what I mean, and it'll freeze frame it. So right there. So went around the top, then swirled around the bottom and came back around. That's how I make my ear wraps or ear wires, whatever you want to call them. So then once I have that shape done, I go ahead and clip it about a hole away. I use the holes as a marker, so if you see once it's clipped, I spaced it to where it's about 2 holes actually away to give me enough wire to wrap it around. So you want to then go ahead and do this again for 2 ear wires. So there's the first one, and then we'll make the second one now. So now you want to take your ear wires and go over to your stainless steel bench block and harden them, so as you wear them they won't move and bend. So I usually hold the ear wires with the bottom piece in my thumb and then hammer the top part as you see me showing you in the picture. You don't want to hammer too hard because these are 20 gauge wire wraps that you just created, and hammering too hard will break them. So just give them a light tap on both sides, and this is so you can make sure that you have even hardening on both sides of the earrings. I would just like to point out here that this is where you need to make sure both your bench block and your hammer have no dings or dents or anything in it, because it will show up on your ear wire. So now you want to go ahead and make sure that your edges of the earrings aren't scratching you or whoever you plan on giving them to in the neck as you wear them. So I'm doing this the old-fashioned way, using sandpaper and going around the earring, not just on a flat edge, but as you can see, holding it at a 90-degree angle on both sides and then rounding it in the middle. This is to make sure you get a nice rounded edge. So now what I'm doing here is showing you the difference between the sanded and unsanded earring edges. The earring on the right is the smooth sanded one, and the one on the left where you see some of the nicks and whatnot is the earring that's unsanded. So you want to go ahead and move on to that earring. Now we're going to be assembling our earrings. So you want to go ahead and have your earrings ready. You want to grab your ear wires that you shaped and hammered earlier. You want to also have some round nose pliers on hand. These are flat nose pliers, and then I also have a smaller set of flat nose pliers I got from a really nice nurse at Abington Hospital here in PA, so shout out to that nurse. So now what you're going to see me do is take an ear wire, clean my hands, and polish the earring first in a second. Now I'm going to take my ear wire, I'm going to be inserting it backwards, and I'm doing it this way because once you insert it, it flips around, and then the part of the hoop that will have you showing the front part of the earring, which is the hammer side like so, will be facing the right way. So you want to go ahead and insert your ear wires in both earrings like so. Now you want to begin wrapping your earrings. I find that holding it at its most sturdy point, which is the base where the circle is that holds the earring to the ear wire, with my round nose pliers, then grabbing some flat nose pliers. This is how it usually works for me. It's a little awkward doing this for this demonstration and this video, but you guys will get the point either way. And you can use whatever pliers or your fingers, whichever works more comfortable. So you want to hold it at its most sturdy point and wrap it around counterclockwise as tightly as you can, because you're not going to want to see any holes or any gaps in your earrings. It's just not going to look for a nice look. So be sure to wrap it around as tightly as you can like so. Now you want to move on to the other earring and be sure to do the same thing. Hold it at its most sturdy place, which is the base, and then taking the wire, wrap it counterclockwise as tight as you can so there's no bubbles or any gaps in between the set of wires you're wrapping. Once you feel you've done all the wraps you want for your ear wires, which were about 2 for me, you want to go ahead and grab some snips, snip off the tail of the wrapped part of the wire that you've done, and be sure to snip on both sides. When I snip, I find I use just a teeny bit to then go ahead and press down and make sure that I have a nice even wrap all the way around. So that's what you see me doing here with some flat nose pliers. And while I'm smushing it down, I'm pushing it to make sure that it's as tightly up against the other part of the wire as possible. Now taking my thingamajig thing, and that's what it's called literally again you guys, I'm going to place my finished ear hook and earring within it and just tighten up the earring a little bit. I find that doing this helps me straighten out the earring a little bit better, and it also makes the ear wire a little shorter, which I tend to like that style. But if you like your ear wires the way they are now, you can totally skip this step. Again, I just do this because I like the look, and it also helps me straighten out my ear wires. So once you've done that, you can check both ear wires to make sure that they're perfectly aligned, and then make sure if you have any last minute adjustments, now's the time to do them. And there you have it. So we're going to move on to the final step, which is sanding down the ear hooks. Now you want to grab your metal file. One should have a fine side of filing and the other should have a more coarse side. I'm using the fine side of filing, and I'm taking my file and I'm just going across the bottom at a 90-degree angle all the way around to create more of a rounded shape, to make sure that it's no scratches and that it's a nice, easy, comfortable fit for the earlobe. So you want to do this on both earrings, and you can file and stop, rub it with your finger like so just to check. And then once you feel you've done a comfortable job with the first earring, go ahead and move on to the second earring. This last step is optional, but what you see me doing here is grabbing some flat nose pliers, grabbing the tip of my ear wire that's to be inserted within my ear, and giving it a slight push up. This just makes it look like more of a formal ear wire to me and helps me keep my earrings in. So that step was optional, but again, it's something you can try. Now, aren't these earrings beautiful? So here are the finished pair. I hope you guys enjoyed this video. Take care.